Hi, this is Marcy. I've had requests for tutorials, so today we're going to sew snippet strips, and I'll show you how I use them in my journals. A snippet roll is just a snippet strip that's long enough to roll up into a little roll, and so I'll show you how that works later. Right now I have a strip of plain fabric, and I've piled on top of it little snippets of different pieces of fabric and threads and yarns, whatever I have. I just keep these things on hand when I have different projects. What I start doing is I place the pieces on top of the strip of fabric. It needs to be smooth on the bottom, nothing that will catch down on the inside of the bobbin. Otherwise, you'll just have a big jam. And as you're going over the things on the top, I do a plain zigzag, a simple zigzag stitch. And you want to make sure that all of the fibers, all of the pieces of fabric, whatnot, are going to pass underneath the foot of your sewing machine. And you'll see what I mean in the second attempt that I do, because it becomes a big mess. Here, it just make sure you push them down. Nothing goes over the top of the sewing foot, the foot of the machine. Okay, it has to go under it. And it's just doing a zigzag. When I come to the end and I want to turn the fabric, put the needle down, lift the foot up, turn the fabric, and then put the foot back down and start sewing again. Again, making sure that everything is underneath. So, needle down, foot up, turn the fabric, and then foot down and start sewing again. And as I see that there's like little pieces kind of sticking out far beyond where I want them to be, I poke them back in. And here I'm using my fingernail to make sure that the pieces are going under the foot. And so I also turn them kind of this way and that to give it some interest, some texture, because I don't want it to be too flat. Another way that you could facilitate this, make it easier on yourself, is to put a layer of mesh over the top of all of your pieces so that you're stitching like a sandwich between two smooth fabrics. Again, the needle is down, the foot is up, turn the material, turn the fabric, and then put the foot back down and start sewing again. I do down the middle, and then I do down one side and then down the last side, so that everything gets caught and gives you, there's not pieces that are going to pull out unexpectedly. And again, I'm just folding the pieces in, getting them all under the foot. Now, at the very end, I do a couple of back stitches, reverse, to make sure that it's, not going to pull out later. So I snip off the threads, and here is my finished piece. I'm now cutting off any excess really long threads that are sticking out. I like it to be a little shabby, but I don't want a lot of really long pieces, so I cut those off, and then I'll just save those for another snippet, another snippet strip or snippet roll. I just drop those into my little scrappy bits can, and I'll start another one. When I use the strips at the bottom, I just normally use like a piece of fabric, or I tear old sheets that are worn out into long strips, and then just use as much of them as I need. When you're deciding what the bits that you want to add, I recommend that you stay within a certain color palette that you think that you plan to use. today I'm doing a kind of shabby pink theme palette because that's my next project. I'll be working on. I need those colors. Here I've got some pieces of a ribbon, satin ribbon, a pink satin ribbon that I chopped up into kind of random shapes with my scissors, and some threads that are left over from uh, sewing projects. You know, the end threads like you saw me cut off before, or when I am fraying the edges of a piece of fabric, I save all of that. I just drop them into my little scrappy holder, little can with the scrappy bits. Now I'm laying them out kind of in an even manner, but round, so that they're pointing this way and that. And this is just a piece of eyelash trim that is left over, so I'm gonna just cut that down to the size that I need and start zigzagging down the middle. Now, put as much or as little as you want. Make the width of and the length of the base fabric whatever you think you'll need, and put on top of it just whatever, anything that will go under your sewing foot and that your needle will be able to pass over. Sometimes I have done some really wild, some just really, really a lot of stuff. Now, this one I have problems with it. You'll see. If you'll notice, my eyelash trim, I don't get it started. See, it's kind of passed over the top. And you'll see what happens is immediately all this stuff starts going, some of it going under and some of it staying on the top. And what's happening there in the back is, you can't quite see it now, is it's rolling up, it's curling up because it's getting jammed. And I'm not able to fix it as I go. Should have done is stopped and started over, but I didn't. And at a certain point, you'll be able to see that my fabric is rolling up in the back. It's curling up like into a little snail kind of thing, a snail shell. You know how they're like a there. You see what's happening, and at a certain point, I have to stop and try to free it because it's getting jammed. So I try to cut it. I end up actually cutting the thread of the machine also, so I'm going to have to rethread that. It's completely free now because the needle is no longer threaded. See, I just got a big mess here. So you want to be really careful because if you get all that stuff down inside of your machine, you can cause a lot of problems. I've had jams where I had to actually take it to be serviced to get it out because I couldn't get everything out myself. So here I'm starting again. I have to rethread my machine. Of course, wearing these velour gloves, it doesn't help. I'm catching every thread that's loose. Every loose thread is is attaching itself to my gloves. But my hands were cold today, so whatever. I am actually able to get the machine rethreaded. Excuse my head, but I couldn't see. This is not the ideal setup. I don't do normally. I do not do videos with me sewing at the machine, and so this was just sort of an improvised setup, and it's not ideal by any means. And I keep hitting the camera stand, the tripod, and everything. It's just a mess. But I wanted you to be able to see a little bit of what I do. So even if you're not, an expert at sewing, you could see what's going on. The threads need to be passing to the back, underneath the foot. Now I'm going to reload my piece and try to catch all the pieces that escaped to me on the first pass. Just doing a plain zigzag stitch, just with the regular presser foot. Nothing special. I'm just using white thread. But here the trick is to make sure everything passes under the foot, not over the top of it, because then you get stuff all snagged and caught, and your machine will not pass over it. Okay, so I tuck it all in, and now I come to the end. Needle down, foot up, turn the fabric, foot down, and start again. Sewing. Needle down, foot up. Okay. So I go down the middle, and then I go down one side, and then I go down the other side. And I love these scrappy snippet strips. They're fun to use in a lot of different ways. I'll show you at the end some ideas for how to use them. They're just fun. It's a great way to use up your little bits and pieces. This pink and white fabric, and this particular one is as I said, it's a satin ribbon. It's a white satin ribbon, that a piece that was left over. I just cut it into little chunks, random shapes. And, but I've been doing a lot of pink lately because I had one of my favorite dresses that I couldn't wear anymore. I got too big, and I just wanted to use it because it's perfect color for pink shabby chic projects, which I do a lot of. And I cut it all up, I tore it up, and I used it. It turned out so pretty. So, okay, I'm saving all my little pieces that are sticking out too far, cutting them off. I'll plop them into my scrap jar, scrap can. In you go. And now I would like to just show you the finished product, the 2 strips I made today, and then I'll show you some longer pieces that I've made recently. Anything and everything that you can think of to put on the top of it, as long as it's something that will go under the needle. The needle will go through it, and it will pass under the foot, like threads from your machine, embroidery threads, pieces of lace, pieces of fabric. For these, I use the base. For the base, I used like a piece of gathered lace ribbon that I ungathered. This one is really wild. It's just got lots of big chunky pieces, but they're soft, so they'll pass. The foot will pass over them, and the needle will go through them. It's just really wild, that one. This is a piece of vintage ribbon with other things. It's all the bases of all of these are pieces of fabric that I've torn into long strips, like sheets or whatever you have left over. This one is, you can make them any way you like. This is like a narrow one, would be cute for like tying the front of a journal, or making like a fluffy tassel, part of a tassel. And so they're snippet strips, but if they're long enough to roll up, then they're snippet rolls, and they could be any width that you like. Here's some things that I've done with them. Cut them into pieces, use them as a belly band, as you see on the right. That's a belly band, or words. This is a cover of a journal where I've decorated it a lot. You can add lace appliques and bling, whatever you want. Here's some rolls. And like I said, it's a snippet strip, and if you roll it up, it's long enough to roll up, then it's a snippet roll. So please subscribe and comment, and let me have your questions and ideas. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.